to record. Yeah, you just have to delete a woman.
Yeah.
The American.
Well, Zoom is American, isn't it? So, brick at the back of the occipital bone. So there's that gap between the neck and the back of the head, if you like, top of the shoulders, back of the head. So just allowing yourself just to find this kind of balance between length at the back of the neck and space at the front of the throat. Now we'll add in a couple of different things just to make it interesting. So breathing in, as you exhale, I'm just going to get you to turn your head to the left. So just almost feel that you're massaging the base of the skull as you turn the head. Like tracing the base of the occipital bone all the way towards the ear. And then slowly roll back, tracing the occipital bone back so the head is in alignment, and then taking your right ear over towards your right shoulder. So again, just that little bit of pressure into the base of the skull. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. So back to the middle. This time, head rolls to the left. Keep sliding those shoulder blades down. And then when the head gets as far as it can to the left, just imagine that you're glancing down towards your left hand. So just feel that you're dropping your chin a little bit towards the left shoulder. Just stay with that for a moment. And then if you lift your chin back up to neutral, you probably get a little bit more turn. So you can turn the head a little bit more to the left. And then slowly roll back. Keep inviting weight into the feet. Bringing the head back in alignment. Okay, do exactly the same thing to the right. So turn your head to the right. And then once you get as far as you feel you can go, imagine that you're glancing down towards your right hand. And then when you bring the chin back to neutral again, you'll find you've got a bit more space to turn the head to the right. And then from there, slide all the way back, head to the center. And already you'll start to feel that you're exhaling, and you'll probably feel the spine is lengthening to the floor a little bit. Inhaling, release the back of the waist from the floor. So take a few of those pelvic tilts. Just to get the lower back in connection with the middle and the upper back. And then the next time you breathe out and you lengthen the spine to the floor, just bring your hands behind the head, so clasping them, moving the brick out of the way, letting the head rest into the hands so that you can slowly lower the hands down, elbows moving out to the side. This is just to make the transition comfortable for the head to come back on the floor. So we'll just do a couple of these lifts. So as you exhale, squeeze the elbows towards each other, connect to the core, knit the ribs, and then lift the front pubis. So you're feeling that connection to the center of the core. Inhale, open the elbows, let the breath come into the ribs. And then for the two of these, you can also add in and lift from the core. So it's the same movement, elbows coming towards each other, rib cage knitting together. As you lift the front pubis, let your upper back, neck and shoulders be drawn off the floor, keeping the head heavy. And then inhale, press the head back into the hands, open the elbows. Let's just do that one more time. You press the head back into the hands, let the hands release to the floor, and then from there, you're just going to go into that lovely stroking shoulder movement. So just pick your brick up wherever it ended up. Actually, bring it onto your belly to start with. Just going to do a little bit of extension through the legs. So flex into your right foot, slide that right leg out along the floor, and then lift the leg in an arc up to the ceiling and then towards the body. I'm going to need to move the brick eventually. Bend the knee to the chest.
Yeah.
I preempted myself. Take that right heel out again along the floor. Really extend through the whole of the right side of the body. Keep the extension into the heel. Lift up with the leg. And then maybe just gently clasp the hands behind the back of the right thigh. Just inviting the leg to the body, keeping that extension into the heel.
Oh.
That was it. And then bend the knee. Slide the knee to the chest. And then pop the right foot down. So if you're stepping into golden sand, flex into the left foot, slide the left heel out along the floor. Lift up to the sky, keep reaching through the heel. Draw the arc and then bend the knee to the chest. This time, as you scrape the left heel along the floor, really feel that you can lengthen out through that left side. And then lift up again. Bend the knee to the chest. This is the last one on this left side. Out along the floor. Lift up, and then if you wish, just gently clasp behind the back of the extended left leg to start to invite it towards the chest. And then gently bend the knee. Place the foot to the floor. Now we're going to use the bricks. So I'm going to take the knees to the chest. So I've got the skinny edge of the brick between the thighs. And then we're just going to pop the fingertips just underneath the collarbones. So I'm releasing my shoulder blades down the back, sliding my elbows to the floor, and then I'm uncurling my left arm all the way along the floor, left palm facing up. And then I'm going to take my legs and my right fingertips over to the left. So I'm going to take my right fingertips across the chest, take my legs over to the left, slide my right fingertips down my left arm, legs as close to chest as they can go, and then reach beyond the left fingertips with the right fingertips, turning the forehead into the floor. So as far as you can go away from the left hand with the right hand. Then stroke across the floor as you inhale. Cross the arm across the chest, turning the head back to the ceiling, but keeping the legs at the left. Once you get your fingertips to the right shoulder, try and relax the back of the shoulder blade, and then circle the elbow. So I know this is not affecting the lower back, but it is in a kind of holistic way.
Well, I can feel it all the way down behind.
Okay, That's good.
Yeah.
And you'll feel it in your hip as well, probably, Jackie.
Yeah, that's me. That was right the way down. The buttock, I feel that.
I must be doing something wrong.
When I circle my shoulder at my elbow right out, I really feel it in my hip.
This is good. So, change direction with the elbow if you haven't already. And then next time you breathe out, take the right fingertips across the chest, down the arm, beyond the left fingertips, turning the forehead into the floor. So the next time you stroke on the inhale across the floor, across the chest. So this time, as your right fingertips reach towards your right shoulder, I'm going to ask you if you can kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Slide both of the shoulder blades further under the body, as if you're moving both of the shoulder blades to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah? And that will potentially allow you to soften that right elbow a bit more.
Yeah.
So staying with that for a few moments, just feeling that stretch through the outer hip. And then back across the chest, down the arm, and beyond. It's almost like a counter pose. Okay, we'll just do one more. Maybe this time just taking the left hand to the outside of the right thigh, just to make sure that you are not adjusting the hip to get the elbow down. So you've still got the hips stacked, which is why the brick's there, really.
Yeah.
And then back you go. And then all the way onto your back. So you'll already feel that softness in the right side, the shoulder blade, the hip. But if you need to just check, you know, if you just take the brick away temporarily and just lengthen the legs out, the right side will feel completely different to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we'll change sides so that we can do all that stuff on the right. So fingertips just below the collarbones, brick in between the thighs, legs to the chest. Now you're already going to feel that that right arm is closer to the floor, so you can just uncurl the right arm, stroke across the chest, down the right arm, take the legs to the right, turn the forehead into the floor, and move the left fingertips beyond the right fingertips. Stroke across the floor, cross the right arm across the chest, over to the left shoulder. First movement is about mobility, so you're just going to circle that left elbow. So you want to mobilize before you bring that intensity into the tissue. Change direction. And then from there, slide back, fingertips across the chest, down the arm, beyond, turning the forehead into the floor. And then take it again. Keep the legs over there at the right. Left fingertips to left shoulder. Now this time you're going to Slightly slide the shoulders to the right, shoulder blades. Just making sure it doesn't affect the stacking of the hips. Allow that left side of the shoulders to soften. Keep breathing deeply. And then the next time you exhale, roll the fingertips back across the chest, down the right arm, and beyond, turning the forehead into the floor. And then take one last time. Bringing the right hand to the outer left thigh, just to make sure that you're not lifting the legs away from the brick, so that the hips are still stacked. It's really feeling that tight tissue. Now, I think this is going to be a great move for your swing as well.
Yep.
Yeah, really going to open the shoulders to give you that depth of swing. And then when you're ready, slide back across the chest, down the fingertips beyond. And then draw the knees all the way back to the chest. And you can just take a little stretch out, so just remove the brick. Slowly slide one leg and then the other to extension. Reach the arms up and overhead. So you can just sense that tissue at the back of the body shifting a little bit. And from here, I always like to do that climbing the cosmic ladder position. So reaching through the left side, fingertips and toes, pointing the toes. And then the same thing through the right side. So you just got that side length coming in just below the ribs there.
When I withdraw, when I stretch the right and pull let the left come in, that's when I feel discomfort in the hip.
Okay.
So it obviously doesn't like that contraction.
So be soft about it, Jackie. What I'd say is just explore how far can you extend the right toes before you feel that contraction. Just stay with that. So maybe moving to it more gradually than reaching into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just a gradual movement, almost if you're tricking the hip not to contract.
Okay.
And then once you've done a few times each side, just take a moment before trying to keep the length into the waist, but sliding one heel along the floor to semi-supine and then the next one. Now we're just going to add in a little bit here. I'm going to take my arms up to shoulder height and I'm going to walk my feet so that they're at 10 to 2 position wider than the hips. Just because of what you said about the hip there, Jackie, I think this would be a good thing to add in. So you know it, big toe side, left foot, little toe side of right, legs to the right, head to the left. And then rolling through the feet, back to the middle, big toe side of right foot, little toe side of left foot, head to the right, legs to the left. So just take another couple of those. Just again, exploring that sense of the movement being driven by the feet, rather than the hips. So the hips and the spine just following the movement of the legs.
Yes, by using my feet, it reduces the pain.
Yeah. So basically what you're doing is you're just tricking that hip muscle, whichever muscle is affected, you're just tricking it not to contract.
Yeah.
So you're trying to keep it, I know I kind of hate the word soft because I use it all the time, but I don't have another word to replace it.
Yeah. You don't want it to switch on.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You don't want it to go into contraction because that's where it'll give you pain.
Yeah.
And then whichever side you feel you're comfortable in, that's the side you can roll up from. So it doesn't matter which side as long as you don't hit each other. So you're bringing yourself onto all fours. And remember, all we're doing, I'm not going to worry about up-facing cat at the moment. We're just going to keep the back of the shoulder blades still, and we're just going to move the pelvic tilt area. So just from the waist down.
Yeah, this is where we did have the brick on our back, didn't we?
Yeah,
So
and you could put the brick on your back if you needed to. But it's just so that, I mean, that just reminds you not to move the shoulders because you get into habits, don't you, of always doing the same thing. So the shoulders and the brick stay still, and you're just basically doing a pelvic tilt. Just moving anything in the back from the waist down, and everything from the waist up stays still. And then from there, after a few of those, you can just transition to standing by taking down dog. So you could tuck the toes under, slide the bottom to the heels, walk the hands a little bit further forward, and then peel upwards into dog. Now, so we don't disturb all that good stuff in the back of the body, do a little bit of slow walking of the dog. And then bending the knees, walking the hands back to the feet. So you stay with the knees bent, rib cage dropping over the thighs. So really concentrate on releasing the low back. Hold on to the elbows maybe. Don't worry about straightening the legs. But what you could do is try and reach into the heels and lift up with the sit bones. Even if the legs don't straighten, and that's absolutely fine, you're activating the connection of the hamstrings into the pelvis. At the same time, weighing down your head, neck and shoulders with your arms. Okay, next time you breathe in, bend into the knees, release the elbows, fingertips in line with the toes. We'll take the flat back approach today. Bend the knees even deeper, swoop the arms behind you, and then just use that momentum to come into standing. That's it. You can go take the arms overhead if you wish, and then release the arms down to the side. So we'll start on this brick thing. So just for ease of demo, I'm going to use my right foot. So the ball of my right foot is leaning against the brick, heel on the floor. I'm striding my left leg back to where I feel stable, and I'm going to bend into my left knee. I've got my hands just on the left thigh. So find your stability first. Keep drawing the right toes back towards the knee. You okay with that, Paul? Do you need to go to the wall or anything? Are you feeling a bit unbalanced? Take your legs, feet a little bit wider away from each other, Paul. So you're not too parallel, that's it. Does that make it any easier?
Yeah.
Now you're going to micro bend your right knee. And then you're going to micro lengthen it by digging the right heel into the floor and lifting the right sit bone. That's it. So it's a micro bend, and I know it's sore on the left leg. We'll just do about another 2. And then bend the right knee, step back to standing. Just take a moment, because there's lots of effort going into both legs to achieve that. And then we'll change sides. So you're just going to take the heel of the left foot to the floor, lean the ball of the foot on the brick, and then slide the hands just a little bit down the right thigh. Chest stays lifted. You're going to micro bend left knee and then micro lengthen. We'll do it 3 more times. So try and keep pressing into the heel of the left foot.
Isn't this, did we lift the buttock here or not?
Yeah, yeah. Pressing into the heel, lifting the sit bone. But not twisting, you're not twisting, you're just lifting the sit bone. Just so that the leg lengthens. There is a move where you twist, but this isn't it. And then bend into the left knee. Come up to standing. And another move you're on about, because it's one of the moves I've given Paul on his golf things. It's that one, isn't it, you were thinking about?
Yeah.
So you can throw a few of those in. It will feel a lot softer if you do it now. So if you put your hands on your legs, on your thighs, I've got my left hand on my left sit bone and I'm drawing my right knee forward. You'll find that left leg lengthens with a lot more ease. So you're not having to fight against the back of the knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of benefits to that little move. And then eventually, just after a few of those, just bring yourself into standing. Now, I've been practicing all of these things, and actually, my personal opinion is that balancing on the brick is just too much worry about falling off. So I'm going to leave that one out.
Okay.
I think all we need to do with that, before you put your brick fully away, is just stand on it so that you've got a little bit of length at the backs of the legs. So I'm just letting my heels very gently slide off the edge of the brick. Simple. I'm not doing the lift and lower. I'm just going to hold that there for a few moments. There's a lot of these moves are very subtle. They're not massive moves, but they do have an effect. Now, what I think this is having an effect on is that as you're lengthening through the back of the body, it's just being able to soften into the lower back there. And then you can step down. That just sets you up for that final thing, which is the lift onto the balls of the feet and the lowering down for the count of 10. So if you need to use a wall, now's a good time. So you're going to breathe in, lift onto the balls of the feet, and then you're lowering for 10, 9, 8, micro lower, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, down. Now you could use the brick between the thighs, personal choice. What I would say is if you're not using the brick, just imagine that you are, so that you're lifting up through the inner thighs a little bit, up into the groin. So once again, breathing in onto the balls of the feet, breathing out, micro lower for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, down. Have a little pause. Okay, one more time. Just gonna have a little look at you. So up on the balls. And then lower 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, down. So you're really feeling that you're becoming a part of the floor rather than being on top of it. So it sounds a little bit weird, but that's kind of how I feel. So when I'm actively, even in my standing postures, I'm trying to find this sense. So we'll do that in a second. I'll carry on recording and then you could just stop now. We're just going to roll down so that we're going to go back onto all fours and we're just going to check out, if you want to do the brick again on the back, check out how that low back feels. Do we have a bit more movement there?
Oh, do you know, that's so different.
Is it?
It's still stiff, but it's hurting so much less.
Good. So there's definitely something going on there, Jackie, with your hamstring attachments to your pelvis.
Yeah.
Do you find that you do you lock the knees out? Do you find it easy to lock the knees out?
I think I do.
Okay. So I'm going to be asking you to try and resist that urge. Not that you shouldn't straighten the legs, because you should, but straighten through that, lifting through the sit bone and down through the heels. Just as you're in cat, just remove that brick for a moment. Now, again, this time I'm going to let you move the upper back, but I want the movement to come from the sacrum. So instead of taking chin to chest first, take lower pelvis first, lift the front pubis, then knit the rib cage, and then take the chin to the chest. And then work from that lower pubis again. So instead of releasing the head first, release the tail first, then the ribs, and then the chest. And you know, both are right. Both are right. It's just doing it differently. So we're just flowing from the tail to the crown of the head for angry cat, and from the tail almost to the top chest and throat for up facing cat. Okay, we'll take one more. So just to give our hands a little breather, next time you take the tail between the legs, take the angry cat, like it's almost right, reverse angry cat, and then bring the bottom to the heels. And then just release either the head down to the floor, forehead, or onto the fists. Just to complete that release out with the low back. And then we'll try a couple of standing postures with the same thoughts. So once again, we'll transit through dog. So as you lift the top chest, lift the head off the floor, just slide the hands forward, tuck the toes under, and then peel up into dog, just as we did before. Keeping that micro bend in the knees. Now, what I would say is in dog, you can actually imagine you've got two little weights on your heels, but keep the knees bent. Try and feel that the heels are moving towards the floor, but the knees are staying slightly bent. And then continue, bend the knees deeper so that you can walk the hands back towards the feet. Forward bend position. And then bend the knees deeper, lift the chest. Swoop the arms out to the side as you use the legs to stand. Bring the arms overhead. And then take the arms back down to the side, and we'll take a wide leg stance from here. So we'll take some of these warrior moves. So really key that when you move your feet, you're activating different moves in the pelvis. So if you can turn in your left toes and turn your left heel out, it's going to turn your left hip in a little bit, but keep facing me. And then turn your right foot so that the toes are turning out to 90 degrees. So even though you're facing me, I want you to bend into your right knee. So you're in that warrior two position, moving into the little toe side of the left foot. So all I'm going to get you to do is take that little sense of micro bend, but we're going to use the foot this time. So release the hands from the hips. We'll come onto the heel of the right foot, and that's going to lengthen the right leg. And you can just bring the arms overhead so you've got that full length in the body. As you exhale, you're going to bend the right knee and bring the ball of the right foot to the floor. Feel it into the floor as you do that. Let's do it again. Arms overhead, dig into the heel. Now, just notice as you dig into the heel, that right leg lengthens and you engage slightly in the glute. And then bend the right knee, lower the arms, bring the ball of the right foot to the floor. Now on the final one, so we'll do it again, up onto the heel. Now this time, as you lower the arms, you're also just going to lower the ball of the foot, but keep the right leg straight. So you're going to roll out through the foot. So the right leg stays extended. So now you're standing with two straight legs, but you're not locking the knee out. You're lifting that front thigh to keep the leg straight. Is that making sense?
Right, yeah.
So it's a subtle difference, but it will affect your low back because you're not using that outer glute. If you're locking the knee out, you're not losing the outer glute. Okay, let's turn the feet back to parallel. And then we'll change sides. So we'll do exactly the same. So we'll turn out the right heel, right toes turn in, and then we'll spin on the left foot so that we can bend into the left knee. Rib cage faces me. That's it. And then just open, slide the arms open in line with the shoulders. So concentrating on the length of the leg, reaching onto the heel of the left foot, bringing the arms to touch overhead. If you know, feel that you're gently engaging into the glute in that position. Then bend the knee, roll down through the foot. Feel the foot nourished into the floor. And then do that again. Bending into the knee. Good. Okay, last time. So you bring coming up onto the heel of the left foot. And then as you lower the arms, you're going to keep this left leg engaged, lifting that thigh muscle. And then just slowly lower through to the ball. So you're just lowering the ball of the foot and the toes, but the leg stays extended. And then from there, release the arms down, turn the feet back to parallel. And then we'll just take a forward fold just to release the back. So I've got my toes slightly turning in, very slightly. Heel slightly turning out. I'm just going to give myself a little length at the front of the body. I've got my hands on the hips. Now, instead of just folding forward, I want you to feel that you're lifting the fronts of the thighs and then folding. So there's the process, I'm just going to show you with my trousers, is to lift the thighs so that that automatically prompts you to stick the bottom out. And then you fold it. And once you've got down, you can bring the fingertips to the floor, or you can have the hands on the legs. Does that make sense? So even in this wide leg fold, there should still be tone at the fronts of the thighs. So the muscle starts in the inner knee, one of the thigh muscles, obviously there's four, and it rolls into the front of the thigh and then up into the hip. Okay, so from there, bending the knees, flattening the back, you're working against gravity, so ease yourself back up to standing, and then heel toe the feet back to center. So, we're going to do that same thing in a kind of balancing quad lengthening position. So if I keep my right foot step forward, I'm just going to stride my left foot back so that I'm on the ball of my left foot. The heel is pointing to the ceiling. So my right knee is slightly bent. I'm going to take my hands on my hips to make sure that as I lengthen that left knee, I'm in a masculine. So if I just slide into a pelvic tilt on my left side, so I'm in masculine, and then allow that to let my left knee drop in line with my left hip. So, Paul, you're going to need to turn that left knee in more. That's it. Now, what you could do is, I'm just going to lift out of it. What you could do is bring your hands onto something so you're not worried about falling over. So I've got, like, if I could bring my hands here, it just gives me a bit more help. So if you need to do that, feel free. That's it. So that's it, that's better. That's better. So it's just a very subtle pelvic tilt. And then lift up. Okay, do one more. Now this time, instead of lifting up, just explore the possibility of lowering the left heel to the floor without locking the knee out. That's it. So Jackie, so you're doing a great job of taking your lower masculine, just release your shoulders open a little bit. So your upper body's not so much, that's better. There you go. So can you feel that in the back of the leg?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, step in.
You're supposed to feel that in your calf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the reason why I'm always saying to people about be careful on that locking the legs out, it's you still need to have straight legs, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Keeping your knees bent all the time causes problems as well. But if you lock the knees out, and I'm just going to try and do it, I actually find it quite difficult now. If I lock the knees out, I'm slightly tipping myself forward. So I've got very little movement in my pelvis. Does that make sense? If you just try that,
Yes.
then don't ever do it again.
Not backwards and forwards, but you can't tilt your pelvis the same.
Yeah, your pelvis doesn't move, does it?
No, because if you bend your knees, your pelvis is loose.
Yeah, even if you only micro bend them, your pelvis has got a lot more mobility in it.
Yeah.
So we'll do the same thing. I'm facing this way. We'll do the same stretch we just did. So this time I'm stepping my right leg back. I think that's the other leg, isn't it? I'm onto the ball of the right foot. I'm bending my left knee. So it's exactly the same thing. Instead of thinking about bending the knee, see if you can move the pelvis. As soon as I move into masculine, my knee wants to release into that quad movement. And then as I lift back up, I'm releasing the masculine. So I'm moving into masculine from the waist down. The upper body stays neutral. And then I'm going to get you to take the masculine move. And this time, instead of coming out of masculine, I just want you to explore the possibility of lengthening that back heel to the floor. So again, what you're doing is lengthening into the hamstring without that pressure of having to lock out the back of the knee, which it doesn't break the hamstring, but the hamstring goes from the pelvis and it joins the bottom part of the hamstring at the back of the knee. So you're almost halving it, whereas this is much more holistic. And then from there, step forward. So when I'm kind of standing, I'm moving between, for a straight leg, for an extended leg, I'm thinking about a little bit of weight in my heels, a little bit of lift up through my inner thighs, and then a release into the balls of the feet. It's a bit like walking. So when you walk, what we should do, isn't it, is go heel through to ball of foot. So that we're peeling off. The problem is if you're straightening the legs too much, you only walk through the heel. If you're bending the knees too much, you only walk through the balls of the feet. Is that making sense?
That's why you catch your foot
As you walk in sort of a bent position.
Paul catches his feet when he walks. He's always catching the balls of his feet on the pavement as he walks.
Okay.
Because he's like that.
Yeah.
So he's almost leading with the foot, the ball of the foot. And if he straightens that up, his heel will come down more.
Just going to stop this. Yeah. So just while I'm